Hello, students! Welcome to the special video lesson designed by Rishi Sir. We're going to be exploring a really lovely chapter from your first flight textbook today, Chapter 6, Mijbil the Otter. An otter for a pet? That sounds so different. I'm actually really curious to see how a story like this plays out. So here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off by figuring out why someone would even want an otter as a pet. Then we'll get into all of Mijbil's mischief in Iraq, follow the complete chaos on the airplane, then we'll take a little pause for the poem Fog, and finally, we'll wrap it all up in our takeaway zone to get you totally prepped for your exams. All right, so let's jump right in. The whole story gets started because the author, Gavin Maxwell, makes what you could call a very unconventional choice. Well, you have to kind of put yourself in his shoes. The author, Gavin Maxwell, he's in Iraq and his dog had recently passed away, so he's feeling incredibly lonely. Then, a friend of his just casually suggests, hey, why not get an otter from the Tigris marshes? And for some reason, the idea just sticks. It was a totally out-of-the-box way to find a new friend. Yeah, I can totally understand the loneliness, but a wild animal? Just imagine the stress, no? You have to get it, then figure out how to take care of it, especially when you're in a whole other country. That's a huge responsibility. It's not like you can just go get a puppy from down the road. You're absolutely right, and that's exactly what makes this next part so cool. Let's finally meet the star of our story, Mijbil, and see how this very unlikely friendship actually gets started. You know, when Mijbil first shows up, he's just a mess. He's covered in mud. He honestly looks more like a tiny dragon than anything else. But the second he sees water in the author's bathroom, his real otter personality just comes exploding out. It's pure, joyful madness. He just goes absolutely wild with happiness in the water. And that's the moment you realize, okay, this is definitely not your average pet.
See, that's the point, yaar. It wasn't just random chaos. Mijbil was so intelligent. He actually figured out how to turn on the bathroom tap all by himself. And his absolute favorite thing to do was to lie on his back and just juggle marbles on his tummy. That's when you know a real connection, a genuine friendship is building.
But, you know, getting an otter is one thing. Getting that otter all the way from Iraq to London on an airplane? Well, that's where the real drama of the story, the main conflict, really kicks in. So the airline had this really strict rule. Mijbil had to travel in a small box that fit under the seat. Of course, the poor otter was terrified. In his panic, he completely tore the lining of the box to shreds. Oh my God, how to manage this tension, no? The inside of the box is all bloody, and then in the middle of the flight, Mijbil gets out. He just disappears into the plane, and people start shrieking and panicking. Can you just imagine being Maxwell? Your pet is causing total chaos at 30,000 feet. You'd be so embarrassed, but also so worried for him. And after all of that high-altitude drama, they finally make it to London. And this is the best part. Nobody in London had ever seen an otter before, so people on the street are just making these wild guesses. Is it a baby seal? Is that a squirrel? Someone actually thought it was a hippo. It's just hilarious to even imagine. Okay, so let's just take a breath. After all that chaos and all that humor, the chapter suddenly changes gears. It ends with something totally different, a very short, very quiet, and really beautiful poem by Carl Sandburg called Fog. The whole vibe just shifts. This single line is basically the key to the entire poem. It sets the whole mood right from the start. Yeah, on little cat feet. It sounds so silent and sneaky, right? Just like how a cat can appear out of nowhere without making a single sound. That's exactly how fog just rolls into a city. It's so simple, but it creates such a powerful image. Right, and the main literary device the poet is using here is a metaphor. He's making a direct comparison. Sandburg isn't just saying the fog is like a cat, he's saying the quiet, stealthy way it moves is the way a cat moves. He's basically giving the fog that silent, sneaky quality of a cat. All right, let's pull all of this together now in our final section, the takeaway zone. We're going to summarize the most important ideas from Mijbil the Otter to make sure you're all set for your exams. Okay, so if you boil the whole story down, the first big theme is definitely that special, unspoken bond that can grow between a person and an animal, for sure. And that leads right into the next theme, which is all about making unconventional choices. I mean, Maxwell didn't just get a dog or a cat, he got an otter. And the story shows how both he and Mijbil had to learn to adapt to completely new lives. Exactly. And of course, you can't forget about finding joy in the middle of chaos. The whole story is packed with these funny, messy moments, like in the bathroom and on the plane, that actually show how much happiness they found together. Now, to tell this story so well, the author uses a couple of key literary devices. First up is humor. He always keeps this light, witty tone even when he's describing super stressful things, like the complete pandemonium on the airplane. And the second is imagery. When you read the description of Mijbil juggling those marbles or splashing around in the tub, you can almost see it happening right in front of you. That's really powerful imagery at work. So we leave you with this one final thought to ponder. What does this really unique relationship between a man and an otter actually teach all of us about what friendship really is? Yeah, that's a good question to think about. Okay, chalo, done and dusted. We really hope this explainer helped you get a better handle on the chapter. Best of luck for your exams, guys!